Welcome back to First Stand 2026. Today we've got G2 versus GENG. GENG, the tournament favorites, looking really strong. Looking at the draft, GENG have a very classic team fight, ball comp, Seraphine, 3 frontliners. The only thing they don't have is a hyper carry, and instead they have the Ashe. So there could be some damage issues, especially up against the Scion on the side of G2. G2 have a much more early game focused comp. I believe that the later the game goes, the better it is for GENG. But G2 definitely have the tools to get a lead. And if they do get that lead, GENG could be lacking some damage to get through G2's front line. That being said, it all really depends on how the game is played out. So let's get into the game. Okay, so we begin with something that the cast actually brought up that I think is a really smart call. The Pantheon is opting to make the game a bit crazy because this is really helpful for the bot lane of G2. They really want the game to be very chaotic because Ashe Seraphine really just want to scale and get through the game, whereas MF Nautilus are most likely going to be getting severely outscaled. So if this Pantheon can sort of create some craziness, create some timers where the Ashe Seraphine feel weak or blow some sums, that's really helpful. So Pantheon goes Raptors, blue Gromp into bot gank. When the Ashe Hawkshot sees Raptors gone and no red gone, GENG's bot lane recognize that they have to be very scared. G2's bot lane kind of go a bit early, but Ruler's ready on the flash, flashes away. But now that's no heal, no flash for the side of GENG. This is quite good. And Skimon did take 2 camps, so he is technically ahead of Canyon. Canyon does respond by stealing the red back. So no red buff on the first clear for the Pantheon, but still up a camp, which is good. Although Pantheon is significantly slower. Pantheon does do his second Raptors. Canyon takes the top scuttle. So that is the camp that is technically supposed to be Skimon's. So now they are equal again. And the game will progress with no casualties. BB in this lane actually has a very good performance. I'm usually a fan of the Renekton sides of these lanes, but from this game, he makes the Scion look very good. Excuse me if I sound a bit nasally. Chovy is doing very well. We haven't really talked much about the mid lane, but that's because it's kind of a boring lane. Here, though, the bot lane is where all the action is. Labrov is looking and finds an excellent hook onto the no-flash Ashe. Canyon is here, but simply cannot do anything when the Ashe with no flash gets hooked. Ashe also has no barrier, so from trades, G2 is doing well. Great start for G2, and this transitions into... Oh, no, sorry, not the dragon. They don't do the dragon off this kill. They do the dragon off of the next kill. Seraphine here, canceling Caps' base while Galio is getting the fruits. Here, Caps does survive. Seraphine has no flash. But Seraphine on the way back to bot lane is walking through the river. And with no flash, that's simply not allowed. She gets Pantheon ulted. Nautilus comes up from the other side. And this is just going to be a free kill. And this is where G2 start the dragon. 1k gold lead. It's going great. Vedius very excited, as you should be. This is a phenomenal start. Keen getting some plates, but BB is fine here. Canyon is stealing some top camps while Skimon does the dragon. Very normal trade or cross map. And we saw this yesterday as G2, but another instance of an arrow to mid lane that lands and ends up in a kill. Last time Vikla got sniped under the tower. This time Caps caught under his own tower. Duro gets caught as well. Labrov flashed over the wall to catch out Duro. Duro still has no flash, so good play. This is why Nautilus and MF are such a good combination. Nautilus has a lot of range, and MF ulti does enough damage to kill somebody as long as the champions are CC'd. Now, while Skimon was doing the dragon, Kenyon did take one of the grubs. So there's only 2 grubs here for Skewmon to acquire, but 2 is better than 0. So G2 is doing pretty well so far, up 1k gold. A majority of that on the MF and Pantheon. The Aurora is behind, but that also means that the Galio is ahead. And realistically, this is not a very easy game for Galio because a lot of the champs from G2 do really well into Galio. Pantheon is very annoying for Galio, and MF does a lot of damage to Galio. So it's not the easiest game for a Galio to carry like it would be if there were a lot of magic damage dealers or champions that didn't just solo kill him for melee. Dragon's up in a minute, and Chovy trying to get some vision here. This is kind of what I'm talking about, where Chovy gets kind of just killed here. It feels like he should be tanky enough to survive this, but he is not. Goes down. That's another kill for G2, a 2k gold lead. This is going to transition into the Dragon very shortly. Dragon goes down. And that means 2 dragons, 2k gold lead. Now not even the Galio is ahead. Everybody's doing well. It's a great start for G2. This is exactly what you want to see. But GENG are the team that love to scale, play slow, and win. BB is also doing phenomenally well in this lane. It's a very easy lane to just have be losing and go down a bunch of CS. But nope, BB is actually not only not significantly far behind, but he's actually pressuring the Renekton out of the lane here, and I believe gets a plate or 2. But we're gonna move to the next play. First big play of the game is this Herald. G2 with their advantage are naturally going to want to start this Herald, and GENG decide that this is where they want to make their first stand. So Galio is going to TP in, Sion TP's in, and the hook lands onto the Xin Zhao. Sion goes into the backline, lands onto Seraphine, but it's not a great engage, but Skewmon picks up the eye and instantly places it. A huge Seraphine ulti comes in, but it mostly hits the tanks. Labrov is really the one that gets chain CC'd, but the Renekton goes down, and Broken Blade gets out by clicking the Herald. So even though Labrov didn't do anything in this fight, it's still a positive trade for G2. They get the kill onto the Renekton, and they get the Herald, and eventually they kill Canyon here with the TP coming in from Caps. Nice E, good ability usage. Yesterday Caps was very underwhelming. Honestly, a lot of the series he's been quite underwhelming, but today, rather so far in this game, he's been very good, landing a lot of his abilities. The laning phase didn't go amazingly, but it is Chovy, so we're not gonna, you know, knock him too much for not doing absolutely perfect in this lane. Now, Galio is top lane alone, and very often Galio is safe to sit under tower versus the enemy mid jungle duo, especially from full HP. But in this instance, not only is he not full HP, but because it's a Pantheon with 2 items, he just dies really quickly. He might have died even if he had significantly more HP, because the tower was not enough to save him and he would eventually get dove. He had to keep running. But another kill there for G2, which is going to lead to another tower. And this tower is big, and Caps needs to base after this tower. Dragon's coming up, and G2, again, they're on a timer, kind of. Not really, but they're kind of on a timer. But Caps pushing another wave is really, really greedy. And because he's so delayed pushing this wave, or excuse me, recalling after this top tower, GENG decide to start the Dragon, and with the Galio ulti, they have numbers advantage here. And I was watching this, and I was so sure that G2 was going to walk in and try to fight this 4v5. But they very disciplined, a very disciplined no fight call from G2. They're up 4k, and they give up this Dragon, knowing that they made a mistake. And Caps overstayed on his top lane to Caps overstayed top lane in order to not fight. Now, there is an argument that he did get a lot of gold, but I feel like the majority of the gold he got, he could have gotten while also being in range to fight. And here, Keen gets dove bot lane afterwards. And this is the other part of the play, is that because Caps pushes that wave, it allows G2 to overload and go bot lane and take not only the dive, but they're also going to get some plates here. Sion is going to go top lane and get those those. Make sure that Galio doesn't get too much. Sion TPing is not that big of a deal because he can always ulti as long as it's a fight in the river. So a lot of gold injected for G2, and Pantheon ults behind the Ashe. Ashe barely lives due to both subs being used and a nice late barrier. Lebrov going in on Duro under the tower, but Lebrov does have the Nautilus hook out and a nice little Spider-Man move where he Qs and then Rs the Xin Zhao while getting away. So really well played. G2 getting some key summoners off from the bot lane of GENG. This makes it really hard to imagine that they're going to try to fight this next dragon. No flash on Seraphine, no flash on Ashe. You got to think that it's not going to be a contest. And as somebody who has watched the game, I know that to be true. GENG don't contest this. GENG decide to just trade top. Honestly, G2 could have defended this top tier 1. Sion does not need to be here, but it's okay. It's not that much gold. After like 10 minutes, the plates start going down in value, so it's not really that much gold. It was only at 1 plate or something, I think. So still a 5k gold lead for G2, still plenty in the lead. GENG had have an average game time of 25 minutes with, you know, insane gold leads, but this game is certainly not going to be a 25-minute victory for GENG. They're down a significant amount. They're very in danger of losing, but plays like this onto Caps are what they need to come back. An arrow into Seraphine ulti onto Fed Caps, gets the shutdown. Renekton gets that kill. It's gonna be very nice for him. But honestly, I think this Ashe might need more damage. I say that because we talked about in the draft how there's not a lot of damage from GENG. Galio doesn't do a lot of damage. Xin Zhao doesn't really do a lot of damage. Ashe doesn't really do a lot of damage. Renekton doesn't really do a lot of damage, specifically to like the very tanky Sion. So if the Sion can get into the backline and sort of block Ashe from playing, that could be very problematic. Now here, there is a Baron start, but all it was is to get the TP out of the Renekton. Otherwise, nothing happens there. And it really comes down to the next big dragon objective. Caps looks for a play onto Ruler. Ruler really insanely didn't use anything, but it's fine. Nothing happened. And GENG, instead of waiting for the dragon, say, okay, you know what? This is our time. The Aurora has no ulti. We're going to start this Baron. And I think this is an incredibly risky call to make. And this is the worst way it could start because the Sion just gets onto the Ashe and literally does not take damage. The Sion is just sitting on top of Ashe the entire time. The rest of GENG has to deal with the rest of G2. I mean, he's still getting auto-attacked. Ashe had basically 100% uptime in that fight, but it just didn't matter because he was hitting a W shield, TP shield, Sion. Well, like, what is Ruler supposed to do? He has LDR. That's the item he's supposed to have. Baron for G2. Mountain Soul for G2. Huge game 1. Game is pretty much instantly over. Like, if the Ashe can't kill before the Mountain Soul, she's not going to kill after the Mountain Soul. Needs so many more items to take down this Sion. The Renekton not nearly as tanky, even with the Galio ulti. Both of them together are not as tanky as the one Sion. So G2 are just going to pressure every lane. There's no bot tier 3 tower. And they got the mid inhib tower, I believe, while the replay was going. And G2 just take every single inhibitor and just sit here again. This is basically unplayable. There's no Nexus towers either. Let's see the final defense from GENG. They have the Seraphine W. but it is completely shredded apart by the Misfortune Ultimate. GENG go down game 1, first game of first stand that they have lost, and it was not, and it was in a very dominating performance from G2 and a very impressive performance. This was not they accidentally won. This was they dominated start to finish. Well-earned victory from G2. Can they keep it up? Excuse me. Yeah, from G2. Can they keep it up for game 2? Let's find out. Coming into game 2, GENG picked the Vayne top. A little inspiration from Lion Dokla. Love to see it. Although I have to say, I'm not sure I actually like this Vayne angle. Reason being that I feel like when you play Vayne top, you really want to be able to like play very aggressively on side and /or be able to like do a lot of damage in team fights. But I feel like in both cases this game, it's not going to be that easy. I think on side lane, Victor is actually not that easy for Vayne to deal with. And in a team fight, Victor and Braum make it a lot harder for Vayne to go and assassinate people. So I'm not sure how much I really like this Vayne. Everyone else, like from outside of the Vayne perspective, GENG have a very solid comp. Ari Vi, Sivir, Alistar, very solid. Good in basically everything you want to do. But G2 has also a pretty solid comp of the like Cassante, Braum, Varus, Ahen, like very strong, like disengage and defense for the on-hit Varus. I think I like G2's comp strictly because I just don't like the Vayne. And we'll see if the Vayne can get a huge advantage against the Cassante, because that is why it was picked. This matchup is really difficult. And immediately the first thing that happens, or the first thing that not happens, but like that I noticed was Keen went exhaust. And if you're going to go exhaust against the tank because the tank does too much damage, maybe this tank does too much damage. Like, it just feels bad. Like, how are we, like, we have to go exhaust? We can't go like ghost or something? I feel like ghost is like why you pick this champ, because then you just run at people. Okay, whatever. Jungle clears are matched, I believe. But I just took top crab. And the bot side of the map is going to go for a trade. And Duro and Duro and Ruler like go very aggressively onto Hansama. But he just flashes the combo. And it's just a free kill. GENG, another kind of mistake. This one wasn't influenced by jungle. This was just, they just kind of like lost their minds for something. Like, this is what Braum is good at. You know, like they can never die if they don't do anything. But like going in onto the Braum too aggressively is how you die. Looking at bot lane, there is another trade. And this trade doesn't result in a kill immediately, but it will chunk out the GENG bot lane a lot. Flash out of the Alistar. Caps has to blow flash mid, but Duro is extremely low bot lane. And he's going to base Envision, and this is going to indicate to G2 that they should dive this Sivir. Because she's alone. They also know Vi's not here because Vi was showing mid, blowing the Victor flash. And Ruler almost lives, but with a very cute late barrier. But it ends up being another kill. LeBron gets it, but it's still okay. Another game and another series in a row where Hansama and LeBron are really doing a lot of damage against these Korean Titans. Just doing phenomenally well. Last series did amazingly against Dival, made him look invisible. This series, a great start. Great start in game 1 and a great start in game 2. Getting Chovy's ulti here, but not resulting in a kill. Now, Keen, going back to the Vayne, has about a 20 CS lead. We'll see if this continues. This is pretty, like, I'd say this is, like, fine for now. He has one plate, which is not that great, but something about having this top lane matchup, this kind of top lane matchup, is grubs are a lot harder to contest for G2. So Canyon does eventually just walk over here and get both of them. Pressure bot lane for G2. Not going to be a dive. It's pretty hard to dive a Alistar, but in this case, it's not going to be a dive because Gen just leave. So even though Genji get the grubs, they lose gold in trade of it, and you know, it's probably still worth it for them because they do have the Vayne that's gonna really like having these grubs, but the grubs don't really do anything unless you start hitting towers, so that's gonna have to be kept into consideration because the bot lane does get farther behind because of this. Now Genji got the first dragon. They got the first dragon after the bottom dive from G2 whenever they did that to kill the Sivir. But the next dragon is coming up. Here, there's going to be a little trade around mid. Canyon and Skimon are both just sitting mid, allowing their mid laners to play and trade the way they want to. I don't know why Genji does this though. Like, they kind of wait until now and then ult, and then as soon as Skimon shows, they just leave. And this is really strange to me. Why? Like, Chovia basically just traded ultis with Victor, but the thing is, Ahri's ult is way more integral to the way that Ahri functions than Victor ult is. Victor probably just won't deal as much damage without his ulti, but Ahri genuinely can't fight without her ulti, so the dragon is just free. Probably would have been free anyway, just considering and looking at bot lane. It's an entire Bork versus not the Essence Reaver yet. But game's going well so far for G2. 1.5k gold lead. Not even just that it's going well so far. I would say it's going good, considering that there's a Vayne on the enemy team. That's a guaranteed losing lane, essentially. Minus 600 gold, nothing you can really do about it from G2's side, and they're still up 1.5k gold lead. Here, Genji do track Skimon in his own jungle though, and this is kind of what Genji are looking for when they pick the Vi Ahri. Very clean CC chain, waiting on the charm until the end of the Vi ulti to get maximum CC duration, and Ahri gets the kill. It's very good for Genji, but that also means that Vi ulti's down and Ahri ulti's down, so there is some cost associated with that pick, but it is still worth it for Genji. Herald's coming up, and G2's bot lane swapped towards the top side earlier because I believe it was Vayne. You see bot lane swap to top when Vayne's on the enemy team because you want to get your top laner out of this lane. And, you know, coming back into the top lane matchup, Keena's still only up 20 CS. He was up 20 CS 80 CS ago on each player. So it's not a progression of this lane. He's kind of hovering around the same strength. And Vayne in this game, like I said, I don't believe Vayne to be like actually that good in team fights or split pushing this game. I think it's a lane dominant pick, but there's no lane domination going on. This is just like you have a small lead. But the Cassante is going to gig out scale. The Cassante getting some nice trades onto the Vayne there, and now it's kind of messing with Canyon. Kind of like, where is the justification for this Vayne? Here, BB walks up, and all of Genji go bot lane to kill him. This is 4 people coming, and to the uninformed observer, this may look like this guy's inting, but Genji put so many tools to kill this guy, and they needed all of them. G2 with the Herald take mid tower. Victor is taking top tower. Additionally, the Herald crashes here, and Caps doesn't take this top tower, allows the Herald to walk up, reset the charge, so that they get the second slam. So Genji get the Keen kill and the bot tower. G2 get the mid tower, the top tower, and the plates. Genji also got the dragon. The gold lead, I believe, increases for G2 after that, and they lose the dragon in trade. So it wasn't even that good. Like, it's not that bad, but it's not that good for Genji either. Like, when you're gonna kill, you want it to be like actually impactful and helping you back into the game. This this sequence of events did not help them back into the game. All it did was further isolate who has the gold on GENG. This Sivir is not strong and will never be strong until she gets some huge shutdowns. But the Ahri and the Vayne are the ones that are strong in this game, so they're gonna have to make some plays happen. And we're gonna have our first team fight kind of over nothing. GENG believe they catch out the Braum, but Braum survives way longer than expected due to the exhaust, and Keen gets hit by the Braum passive and then gets chain CC'd with the Braum passive and the Varus ulti. Duro goes down afterwards, and Chovy has to flash out. And this is kind of what I'm talking about with this Vayne, is just not that good in a team fight. She was there and kind of didn't do anything. She just like was there and died. Now, a lot of champions would die in that situation, to be fair, but this is, you can't make these kinds of mistakes on Vayne. You have to be getting something from the pick that you like. Your composition's so much worse because we pick Vayne. We have to get an advantage off of it. So the next play, oh, this play, oh my god. Okay, this is one of, this is just a very insane play to me. G2 caps TP's bot lane and they just full dive the Vayne. I always thought Vayne was pretty hard to dive, but I guess I was wrong, because this guy just gets dove 100-0. BB almost goes down, but barely lives due to LeBron having the locket. So King goes down, and now Alistar with has to ulti. Canyon gets caught from Hansama and Skewmon, and then Alistar also goes down. So kind of out of nowhere, 3 people from GENG go down, and now G2 can just walk to Nash. And something really funny happens here. Chovy gets pulled over the wall by the Baron thing, which I've never seen before, but that's hilarious. But I mean, it's 2v... Okay, it's 2v5 right now. It's now 3v5. But there's no jungler and there's no frontliners, so it's really hard for GENG to actually walk in. It's a free Baron. Now, GENG are going to trade this for the Mountain Soul. G2 are going to try to fight them afterwards, and I believe they do get Canyon here. I believe. Yeah, they get Canyon. Duro, I think, escapes. So they get the Mountain Dragon, but they lose the Baron, they lose a kill. G2 is pushing and progressing the game. 7k gold lead. You know, if this was any team except GENG, you'd be very confident that G2 is just going to cleanly end this. But against GENG, anything can happen. They're so good. Cleanse there from Braum. LeBron's having a phenomenal game so far. Last game and this game, he's been playing very well. Gen is looking for their kind of comeback play. Zehen isn't here, which is why they're looking so aggressively. But they just don't have the tools to engage. They don't have Vi ulti. She's really the target that can start and end a fight on the side of GENG without a flank. If they're just running at G2 as 5 in a ball, they need the Vi to really start things, or like flash from Alistar. But they don't have that. G2 win the fight. They get the bot inhib and mid tier 3. And GENG starts looking for a fight here. They're always looking for their playback. They're 10k down. They have to do something, and here they see that Hans is by himself, but Hans has Zhonya's. This is the advantage of picking Varus, is he can build AP items, and Zhonya's is very good against Vi and Ahri. So Varus lives for free, but that's also the Sivir ulti and the Ahri ulti. Again, Ahri really needs her ulti to really do... Oh, they don't get mid tier 3. They get mid tier 3 now. Ahri really needs her ulti to fight effectively. Without it, she is kind of weak. So Canyon Q's over the wall kind of weirdly and just dies. So that was kind of troll. G2 keeps progressing. They're up almost 12k at this point. I mean, this game is so over. But it's GENG. You can't be too confident. It's not like last game where they had like Mountain Soul at this point when they were doing this, and then it was really over and they won instantly and they completely won. This game, GENG can maybe get Mountain Soul, you know, or there could be a throw from G2. You never know. G2 almost get caught. Ruler has to blow ulti. No fight for GENG. Triple inhibitor down. G2 is just going to take this Baron and walk it in, essentially, as the game goes on, is what I would say. But Duro finds an insane angle onto Hansama, completely out of vision. WQ flash, and Hansama gets 100-0'd. And without the fed Varus, this fight is simply not winnable. The battle lines are completely broken. BB is attempting to survive and fight on the right side here, but Chovy gets a bunch of gold. BB, I believe, ends up going down as well. The Vayne is too good at chasing. And this disaster. They were up 12k earlier. Now they're only up 6k. Is this really going to be a throw? Is this possible to throw? Well, G2 still have Nash. They're going to try to do the same thing. And the big difference this time between this push and last push is Chovy gets hit by this Zehen W and has to blow ulti and flash to get away. Then Canyon has to blow her ulti, her Vi ulti, and Canyon goes down. So now there is no engage for GT on the side of GENG. There's no Ahri ulti, there's no Vi ulti, there's no Alistar flash, and there's a Baron up on G2. They get the Hex flash onto Caps, but he is completely fine. He has Zhonya's. Labrov barely ends up living. Varus ulti lands onto the Sivir, so she can't auto attack. Keen gets flashed on and killed. And that's 2-0 for G2. There's no way that they 3-0 GENG, right? I'm expecting a reverse sweep still. We'll see how it goes in game 3. Going into game 3, GENG on match point. I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of their composition. Looking at G2's comp, you've got a pretty standard, like, 2 versions of the comp. You got Protect the Kog'Maw with Lulu and Shen and Peel from the Akali and Jarvan. But you also have a dive comp with, you know, Akali, Jarvan, Shen all diving into the backline. So there's 2 different versions of this. GENG's comp, the reason I don't really like it is mostly coming down to the Azir. I feel like the Azir just does not fit what this GENG comp is trying to do. They don't really have a comp that makes Azir make sense. Like, they don't have a strong front line. They have like pseudo front line with like Ambessa and Gwen, but they're more just trying to dive. They also already have a hyperscaling carry in the late game with Yunara. So I really don't like the Azir, and I feel like for that reason, I don't like GENG's comp. G2's comp, I mean, they have a Kog'Maw, so it is basically an execution. Whenever new champs get played, I always err on the side of, okay, if they play it well, then I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. If they get stomped in this lane, then it's a bad pick. But if they do well, then I'm fine with it. So going into the game, we'll have to see how this develops. And the early game, it's match jungle clear. Ambessa jungle got nerfed a couple patches ago and isn't nearly as oppressive as she is in the past. I'm a huge Ambessa hater, but that's because I hate how strong she is. I think she's really OP. The game does start pretty slow, though. I don't think that this is necessarily good or bad for one or the other. I think both teams have parts of the map that they would want to accelerate and not be accelerated. So Chovy kind of ego checks here. Doesn't flash. Very common. You'll see EQ flash on Jarvan, and Chovy doesn't flash here. I think because he knows there's actually not that much damage follow-up after that point, because Kali just doesn't have anything. But good nerves there from Chovy. Even though 0-2 down, still playing well at this point. The first thing that happens is kind of an NA special. I always talk about it. This second crab fight, and Caps goes onto Chovy, gets the ulti out, and Chovy has used a lot, and Canyon is the one that takes a relatively sizable chunk. And the G2 bot lane being here grouped up with the Jarvan makes this very hard for GENG to contest. Skewmon gets level 6. This is why the scuttle is so important, is that not only does, you know, it's just a camp, but it gets you level 6, And because it's on the same side of the map as the dragon, now Skimon can start dragon because Gen G don't want to fight. Except Gen G do want to fight. Canyon turns around and says, you know what? I'm going to go back and fight Jarvan off of the dragon. But I don't know why, like, this, you don't do this for exactly this reason, right? Like, Canyon just gets jumped on, has to blow flash. Kima doesn't even drop the aggro of the dragon, and now Caps can use his flash to get the free kill on Canyon. Gen G have not been playing well this series. I think that's a fair statement. But G2 have been playing well, and I think there's a big difference between, you know, a series where one team is playing poorly and they sort of self-implode. But I think it's really been a combination of Gen G making mistakes and G2 punishing those mistakes really well. I think it would be very easy for Skuma to get off the dragon, for example, and try to chase down the kill himself. But instead he says, no, I'm going to punish Canyon for doing the thing that's wrong. I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to kill the dragon and let Caps maybe get the kill, maybe he doesn't really matter. And a great start for G2. Checking in on the laning phases. Lanes are all pretty similar. Gen G maybe has a bit more CS, but Jarvan is up as well. Chovy here. Oh, this is actually very good movement from Caps. Here in this game, Skimond, ooh, a nice E there from Caps to get out of the Azir ulti. The trade doesn't go super well for Caps, but his ulti is going to come up soon. Skimond gets one grub and then leaves, and Canyon checks the Raptors, and they're gone. Skimond bases to get all of his components and wants to defend his bot side. On time, doesn't want to overextend for the top crab. And Caps, or excuse me, Canyon is going to look to make a play. One of the difficult aspects of when Riot makes these top lane champions junglers is your jungler has to learn how to play them. And Besta is actually a really complicated champion. And in this instance, Canyon messes up the combo and allows Caps to ult out. You're supposed to like press S and instantly input an ability, but here he kind of like spaghettis it and allows Caps to ult away instead of towards Chovy. Ultimately, this doesn't result in a kill, but what it does do is waste Canyon's ulti, or trade Canyon's ulti for Chovy's, or for Caps' ulti. Keen, though, just gets caught simply warding in the enemy jungle and can't get the trade, but this is bad, right? Gwen is a split pusher, goes down, BB's feeling comfortable, and like Kobe is saying, it just feels like G2 has control of this series. It hasn't ever felt like Gen G have been in control. It feels like they're simply dancing to the tune of G2's drum right now. The next dragon is coming up, and this may be where the game is decided, or at least the early game is decided, because Gen decide to fight it. They're contesting from bot side. Azir is skipping the wave. He's going to come down. It's going to be a 4v4. How is this going to play out? Key part is no Shen ulti. How does it go in? Duro's going in first. Flashes in. Genji goes on to Lulu. Kill Lulu instantly. But I've said this for a while. I feel like it is such a common mistake that pro teams make around this time in the game, between 7 and 15 minutes, where they engage onto the support and simply run out of damage to kill anybody else. And Gen G, like, they tried to go on Kog'Maw there and just hit Lulu, so they went on Lulu. But because they used everything on Lulu, they just can't fight afterwards. So it ends up being a 1-for-1, and the dragon goes to G2, which isn't that bad. It's not bad, like that bad, but it's not good. G2 is definitely progressing, and here a bit unlucky. Labrov missing the ultimate because Caps pressed E, but Chovy still flashes. So again, another just very small thing. These very small advantages don't necessarily mean a huge deal in the game holistically, but they show a trend that G2 is the one that is feeling comfortable and Gen G is the one that's feeling the pressure. Chovy flashing there. Probably maybe had to, but certainly not, like, the fact that he eat in and then had to, like, it was just bad timing. Like, they just missed, they didn't track the Lulu very well. And it's kind of an uncharacteristic mistake from GenG, who are usually so controlled in their game. Now, Nico in that previous Dragon fight did use Flash, so she is currently flashless, and Skimond identifies the Nico too far up, lands the EQ, and simply just full sends it. And a lot of the times this would be too scary to do, but against Shen and Lulu, but with a Shen and Lulu, this is not scary. This is completely fine. And here, Chovy goes down, and initially I was like, how is this guy dying to cancel the Shen ulti? But actually, G2 get the Herald, but I need to show the replay. I don't remember what, I didn't time when the replay was. Okay, this was actually a kind of insane play from Broken Blade. So Chovy E's, hits him with the very edge and pushes him away. But he gets Q flashed, E's in, because Azir has no flash, no ult. So, okay, he actually kind of gets a pass for this. Like, that was kind of insane for BB, I'm not going to lie. I don't think anyone... Like, he did that in the safest way he could, basically. But Shen is just OP, and nobody plays this champ. So, nobody knew. Alright. Now, we get to the part where G2 clearly have a lead. How are they going to progress the game? And this is one of the hardest things to do, but in this game, they do an excellent job at it. First, G2, Skimond goes mid and simply just EQs behind the tower. They have vision on Mbessa, I believe, from, here, so they know that Mbessa is looking top lane. And this is what gives Skimond the pressure, or the confidence to go for this, as well as this ward over here. But the tower goes down. Skimond gets the dragon. GenG decide not to fight this. They don't feel strong enough to, which makes sense. And they're playing topside. But because they don't contest this dragon, Keen is kind of left alone. And similar to last game where Keen was playing Vayne in a game that, in like a situation that didn't really look diveable, Keen also feels like, man, maybe this is diveable. So he decides to leave. He doesn't go down, but does have to burn ulti. But this is going to be another tier 1 for G2. So that's 2 tier 1s killed relatively quickly. GenG is not able to dive the other side. They don't have the damage to. Shen weirdly kills tower, or kills waves very fast. So Azir's also not finding it very easy to take the tower in front of the Shen. Still at 3 plays, hasn't even autoed it once. So Shen bases and TP's top, and here, because he TP'd top and canceled Azir's base, Azir kind of has to be a bit more careful. GenG are saying, hey, we just want to trade sides. We're going to give this top tower as well. So that's all 3 top towers taken relatively painlessly, and a pretty big gold lead for G2. Nearing 4k gold at 10 minutes is significant. This is not good at all for GenG. Adding on to the fact that their composition doesn't really flow as well as G2's does. Like, I feel like G2's comp makes a lot more sense because they have a very strong dive comp with a hyper carry. Like, they're essentially, they have a bunch of people that make a ton of space and allow their hyper carry to attack. GenG have like CC to do that. They don't really have like a person that is going to sit there and take damage. They just have CC, and that's not really the same. They also have 2 hyper carries instead of the 1 from G2, and 2 is a bigger number than 1. But I feel like the lack of something to stand in front of this Yunara is going to make it very difficult for her. Herald is popped for bot tier 2. Tier 2s aren't as powerful as they were in the past, but they're still good to get. They just give the same amount as a mid tier 2. Herald crashing, and lots of the plates going down there. Ton of gold, still about 3.5k up. But GenG has committed to this trading sides action, kind of giving it away there. Keen gets EQ'd from out of vision, and Keen goes down. And that's going to be tier 2. So that's a kill and a tier 2. And there's just no cross map. GenG is not doing anything on the other side. Azir finally hit some of the platings, but isn't going to take the full tower. The Shen clears the wave so quickly. Now, especially with Dusk and Dawn, he gets double procs of his Titanic Hydra. This is not looking good. 40 seconds until Soul. We haven't really talked about it, but G2 has been on a blistering pace on these dragons, killing them on spawn, essentially. If GENG don't get this dragon fight off, it's going to be very difficult for them to win team fights. Cloud Soul, movement speed is a very is a very valued stat in League. It helps a lot with team fighting and skirmishes. And Ruler simply caught sleeping. Doesn't go down, but 10 seconds before the dragon and your 80 carry is 200 HP, no ulti, it's not fightable, right? And let's just go back and showcase why this happened. Why is he walking up here? You know, like this is such a basic mistake for somebody of Ruler's caliber, and it has such massive consequences because this is a Cloud Soul. They can't contest. They can't even do the Baron. They can't even threaten the Baron to like try to do something. They just have to say, okay, Cloud Soul's yours. We're just gonna leave. What to do? GENG, they just have to essentially wait until they have to wait for somebody on G2 to get caught, like in game 1, or they have to wait for Elder if they want to have a more equal chance at winning a fight. Right now, Souls, you can kind of estimate them to be around 4k gold, but it's very game dependent. Here, G2 full send it, EQ onto the Mbessa. She's almost out of the fight instantly, and the engage is just kind of too strong for G2, but the counterattack from GENG onto the Kog'Maw is massive, and Keen is hard to kill with only melee champs. The Gwen is. This might be the story. I won't even say this is the story of GENG's game, because GENG really has just been getting kind of destroyed. But Keen is just so close to killing Caps, and then is so close to killing Broken Blade. He just barely doesn't kill either of them. And it's just so close. Like, I understand why he's going for this, but he ends up going down, and the Cloud Soul allows G2 to eventually land this knockup on Jarvan. Keen goes down, and this is a 45-second death timer against the team with a gold lead. This is going to be Baron. It is going to be attempted to be contested, but there is no Mbessa. She's not there in time. So Baron for G2, 2-0 up in the series, 7k gold lead, Cloud Soul. Is this going to be the greatest upset of all time? Potentially. G2 is certainly in position to make one of the greatest upsets of all time. Normally we see 4-man cores sieging, but G2's comp actually have 2 very safe side laners. So G2 opt to go for a 3-lane pushing strategy. They're going to have their 3 on the side lane. Akali is extremely safe mid lane. It's so hard to kill her through her shroud and all of her mobility. And Shen is just so far and will take so long to kill that they're kind of okay. If GENG decides to send 5 to kill Shen, they'll take 2 inhibs for that and just continue with the game. GENG just deciding they'll just try to defend this slowly, but Shen is actually winning these fights against the Gwen. I kind of see the vision. Like, the more I see this Shen from BB, the more I think it's good. Like, it's OP. And G2 with, or excuse me, Broken Blade, very nice movement to dodge the Mbessa ulti. I can never do that. I always fail whenever I try to do that. But no Mbessa ulti, and Mbessa showing allows G2's dual lane top side to get that tower. And Baron's going to fall off in 10 seconds. So G2 make the call. Let's just base now for the Elder that's spawning in 45 seconds. This is do or die for GENG. If they do not win this fight, their tournament is over. They have lost before this series 2 games the entire year, and now they're on the verge of getting 3-0 swept by G2. Will they be able to make the fight happen? Elder is exactly where you'd want to do it. It is the most powerful neutral objective that exists. What GENG want is they want the fight to start with like the Elder Dragon dying, and hopefully they just get it. But G2 don't even allow that. Caps is way behind. He's ready to go in. Elder's at 15k, and that's when Skumon goes in. Duro goes onto Hansama. but no one else is there. The backline from GENG goes down, and it's just a complete wipe. G2 3-0 over GENG. Absolutely insane from G2. I almost didn't wake up for this game because I was so sure that it was going to be a 3-0 sweep. And I was right, but I was extremely wrong for who it was going to be for. Well deserved from G2. I cannot sing their praises enough. A lot of series that the West plays against the East, they can win, but they often don't look like they're that, like they don't look like they're playing good and they're clearly better. This series, if you turn off the nameplates, it simply looked like G2 was a significantly better team than GENG. Gen was playing very bad. I'd recognize that. They were making very uncharacteristic mistakes. Maybe that was due to nerves, maybe extraneous factors, but G2 well deserved. They played extremely well every single game, completely stomped GENG. Absolutely insane. I'm excited to see who they play in the finals. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all for the finals tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.